Hi guys, this is Jimmy from Case Group, and in this short demo we're going to take a look at one of the new textures in VRay 2.0. If I open the material editor and try to grab a new texture, you'll see that now we have a texture called VRayMultiSubTex. The VRayMultiSubtex actually allows me to control the settings of a certain material based on the IDs of the objects or faces that the material is applied to. So it's very much like the standard max multi-sub material, but it's a texture. And to illustrate how it works, I'm going to create a very simple scene. I'm going to add a teapot and a sphere, and I'm going to give them the same V-Ray material. Then I'm going to assign the V-Ray multi-subtext as the diffuse for this material. Now let's take a quick look at the multi-sub texture. You'll see that we have several options here. We have IDs, and we can control whether we want to take the object IDs or the face IDs. So if we have IDs for different faces or different elements, we'll be using this one. I'm going to use object IDs, so I'm going to switch to object IDs. And I can also set different colors or textures for each ID. So let me first give some object IDs to these objects. I'm going to set this one to 1, and the sphere is going to be object ID of 2. Now I'm going to set the color for ID1 to green, and I'm going to assign ID to a texture, for example cellular. Now when I render, I should get a green teapot, and the sphere should have the cellular texture on. So as you see, it's pretty straightforward to work with, and now let's open the scene and see how it can use it there. So I've opened my scene and I rendered out the final image. I did this before recording in order to save some time and make this demo a little bit shorter. So as you can see, the scene is pretty straightforward. We have several fruits. We have some different kinds of grape and two different kinds of pears, or at least different colors. And let's quickly examine the scene and see how it works. Now, in this scene, all the grapes have the same material, and the both pears have exactly the same material. But of course, we are driving these materials with the help of the multi-sub texture. So if you take a look at the material for the pears, you'll see that it's a very complex material. We have a blend material, and for the base of this material you're using a VRay fast subsurface scattering 2 material. But what we care about is actually the subsurface color of this fast subsurface material. And as you can see from this view, we're actually using the VRay multi-sub texture to control it. Now let's take a look at this texture, and first of all you'll see that the get ID from option is set to object ID. So if we take a look at the two pears and check their object IDs, you'll see that this one has an object ID of 1 and the other one has an object ID of 2. And if we take a look at the multi subtext, you'll see that we have for ID1 we have one texture, which is this one. You can see here in the graph, the green one, and for IDs2 we have this darker one. So when we render out the final image, we see this one is green and this one is brown. So this is a more simple setup in which we are actually using textures. And let me minimize this so I don't have to open it every time. And the grape setup is a little bit more complex. Again, we have the blend material, and as the base of the blend material we have this subsurface scattering shader, and again we're controlling the subsurface scattering color. But this time if we take a look at the multi-sub texture, you'll see that we're using first the face material IDs, and the other thing is that we have 12 different colors placed here. So let's take a look at the grapes, and I'm going to go to the modify tab and select different elements, and let me just show you the IDs of the elements. So you can see that this grape particularly has the ID of 7, and this one has the ID of 6, this one is 5, this one is 6 again. So we're actually giving different IDs to different elements in this geometry in order to create some very small variation. You can see there is this a little bit brighter than this one, and also this one is, for example, a little bit darker than this one. So we're actually using the element IDs to create an even more uh, different, little bit different shades in the grape. And as you can see, if I open the material editor again, for ID1 we have this color, and for ID2 we have the other one, a little bit lighter one, a little bit darker one, and again for the other colors. So as you can see, this gives us a lot of flexibility, and instead of creating 12 different materials and applying them to each grape individually, I'm actually creating one and the same material and controlling the colors with the multi-subtext, which makes my work much more flexible, and it makes my material editor much easier to organize. So this concludes this short demo. I'm Dimitar Krstev Jimmy, and I thank you for watching.